Okay, girls, let's sit down, hot girl walk, catch up. Whether you're driving on your hot girl walk, sipping your coffee at home, we need to catch up. Chill vibes here. Well, I want to talk everything my 2026 goals because I know I said I would share them all with you, but I have been heavily thinking lately, and I just think we all need to shut the fuck up a little bit. So, I'm going to be sharing the pillars more than the specific ones. So it's giving the categories, the energy, the standards, and just the identity I'm stepping into. Basically, I'm giving away the blueprint without giving away the details because I was sitting down and doing my goals this week and I was like, oh my God, sometimes goal setting scares me a little bit. Sometimes I feel like I have really big goals, but then they feel like, how am I going to achieve this in just a year? And I know that you girls feel the same way. But then when I looked back on my 2025, I've achieved a lot, and some of the stuff was just not on my bingo card. And just to name a few, I wasn't even trying to be a content creator or get into content, and suddenly I've worked with like 20 brands this year. Like, what? That wasn't on my bingo card at all. It wasn't even a goal I set. You guys already know because I talked through my vision board, which I will do again at this year, at the end of this year, because once the year's over, I can talk about it, and hopefully they all come to fruition. But this year, my goals, as you know, was like interstate travel, starting the podcast, getting into the best shape of my life, doing more just experiences, adventures, and all of the things. And you guys know I achieved a lot of it, but there were some things business-wise that I actually didn't achieve that I wanted to achieve. So you already know that's where we're at, right? But you just never know where the year is going to go. So what I did was I set some goals out yesterday and I was like, what's achievable and what feels like absolutely crazy, but like also anything could happen. And that's how I did it. So I want you right now, if you still haven't done your goals, to sit down and think, okay, this is realistic. I could achieve this, and this is fuck yeah crazy. And I might be able to achieve this, but I might not be able to achieve this. And it'll be so fucking crazy if I do, but I'm okay with it not. So I really want 2026 for me to be growth. That is my word of the year that I'm currently sitting on. Have I locked her in? I think yes, but sue me if I change it. I just really want it to be a big growth year in terms of growth in business, personal development, just really being happy with my world, who's in my world, who I surround myself with in terms of both clients and friendships. I truly think that growth and happiness can exist together. You can want more and still be happy. I used to think it couldn't because I thought I had to do things that made me unhappy to grow, but that's not the case. So for example, I would in the past feel like, oh, not really aligned with this client, but I want to, grow my business, so I'm going to take them on. And then they would be a really bad apple and ruin the vibes of everyone. And none of my clients were happy with that. And I really learned that lesson this 2025. And I was like, I'm not going to be bringing that into 2026. So for me, it's showing up as someone who knows what they want and staying in check with that. So I've already put in my calendar a end of March Q1 check-in for re-going over my goals and making sure I'm staying aligned with them and making sure they all still are making sense and are still what I want and all of the things. So I cut it down into the same things I was talking to you guys about. So like business, finances, relationships, health and wellness, and experiences and travel. So I did still really stick to all of that. Obviously, I'm just not going through the specifics. So I want to make sure that I come back to that often and make sure that I'm really sticking to that. And I'm doing my Pinterest vision board as well so that I can really make sure that it's like in my room or in my office and I'm seeing it often so I can remember and kind of stay in check. So things for me, how to make decisions. I want to be more decisive in 2026. Sometimes I can't even decide what to eat for bloody dinner, but that is where I can be almost soft. I feel like that's me and my soft and my feminine, whereas in business, it's more my masculine, right? So I want to be able to make quicker decisions in business and be able to respond in a quicker way when things hit the fan. Sometimes I sit on it only for like 24 hours, but I want to be able to like time collapse that even more. I want to sit on it less and just make the decision. Protecting my energy. Boundaries. I moved heavily into that during this year, especially the second half of the year. And it's so funny to me how repelled people get when they can't walk all over you anymore. How pissed off people get when you actually stick to your contracting and your, business rules, if you will, and stick to what you think and know works. Like, you have to remember everything I do is because I've experienced it not in that way. I've experienced not having that and know that I need that. And it's really, really funny at how people switch up on you and think that they can take advantage of you. And when you show them that they can't, they lose their shit. They get pissed off, and it's just not the vibe for this year. So that I'm not doing that. So moves, quick, intentional, not overthinking, no reactivity. I don't really think I'm much of a reactor anyway. I normally sit on it and just like am like, it is what it is. You like go be a loser then, whatever. But I just think really just making that decision and being really set on it, not going back and forth, not going and asking external opinions. Of course, I'm still probably going to have a conversation like with my partner here and there, but I just want to be like making my own decision and be sure in myself before I start looking everywhere else for opinions. The thing with this as well is like how I value myself this year, not feeling guilty for making time for myself. I'm always so available, but I've been really stepping back from outside of like with my clients. So I'm not constantly in my DMs all day on Instagram. I'm not being so reachable. I'm not like going to be at your beck and call. So of course, like I'm not talking in my client capacity within my working hours and like being in, you know, the coaching app, but I'm not going to be in my DMs all day to justify my pricing with you. I'm not going to be in my DMs all day to explain to you why Toned and Trendy is good. You know what I mean? Like that's just not the energy for me. That's just not a value to me. And I'm not going to feel guilty for not spending 7 hours on Instagram a day. And I'm not going to feel guilty for going on a road trip to fucking Melbourne because I want to. Like, what the fuck? Literally, what the fuck? So really stepping back into not feeling guilty for making time for myself. And I know it's so easy to feel these things, right? Because we're supposed to be working 24/7. And I really thought about it. I never gave energy to this, but I really thought about it recently that I sometimes work like 60-hour weeks. And you don't get paid for half of that, right? Because you're running your own business and it's not all about the money and things like that. But if I can't even get the inkling of respect, or I can't even not feel guilty or not be made to feel guilty because I'm trying to live my life outside of working 60 fucking hours in the week, that's just not the vibe, right? So like, forgive me if I'm not on my Instagram stories and in my DMs 24/7. Forgive me if I'm not responding to your Instagram within fucking 5 hours. Forgive me if I post on my story and I haven't got back to you. I don't need to be that available. So I'm taking that energy into this year. Talking in the careers and business pillar, the energy. So I'm not talking like numbers and targets, but the impact I want to make. Everything is always centered around weight loss, of course, but really stepping into more of life in our 20s, the uncomfortable conversations, the mental health, the dating, the pulling you forward. It really all ties up and we kind of can uncover those layers. So what I'm really loving more about is stepping into talking more on these things. And I'm going to be sharing more on the pod and things, but where can we take responsibility? Where can we do more? And how can I make more impact on girls in their 20s through the podcast? So we're going to be talking so much more, which I'm excited about. Thinking as well, as I said, the kind of women I want to work with. I really want to work with girls that know that they want it. They're self-aware. I want girls that can really identify when something is missing. And when I say that, you don't need to have all the answers, but you need to be self-aware in like it takes two to tango. I'm done with the ghosting and the hiding behind the layers. Like I really just want girls that are vulnerable and honest and are trying their best to communicate. And when I say that, you might be a really closed off girl. I have some clients like that that are like, okay, it's really hard for me to open up right now. I respect that and I see that. But the fact that you're having this conversation telling me it's hard to open up is what I'm like, that's the energy I'm after. Those are the girls I want in my world who are just so honest and like, this is new for me. I'm scared, but I'm going to do that. Moving on. The type of creativity I'm bringing into this year, I'm extremely creative. I've always said this. You girls know this from my previous jobs too. Like when I worked at other places, I would be so creative and have so many ideas that constantly got shut down. Jealous little hoes, if you know, you know. But that is me. I truly am super creative. That's where Toned and Trendy came from. My brain, not ChatGPT. It's just something that like I have this part of me that I have so many ideas. And you guys know I overstep with my ideas. I'm telling my clients to start their own business. I'm telling my clients to start a social media page, pick up a new hobby. Like I get so excited about it. When I say I overstep, I'm not forcing anything, but I am giving them 101 ideas and they're probably like, Jess, shut the fuck up. But it's because I am so creative and it gets me so excited and I'm so passionate. But when I was struggling with my boundaries in 2025, I was really struggling with my creative flow. When I was letting people step all over me and cause dramas in my world, it was really like I was struggling to be creative and get into that space. So I'm excited to show more creativity in 2026 and bring to the table things that really light me up. In saying all of that, I'm a consistent queen and you guys know that. So that is one thing that nobody can take away from me. I'm a fucking consistent bitch. So expect to see the same level of consistency because you wouldn't have even known that I was struggling with boundaries. You wouldn't have even known that I was struggling with creative flow if I didn't tell you right now. You're probably like shocked, like, oh fuck, I didn't even know that happened, right? Because I was consistent no matter what. You didn't know when things were happening. And I want it to stay that way. It shouldn't blend into my work. Things happening shouldn't, like, you being a great client and me having someone being shitty in the background doesn't mean you should be affected. You should still get that same great experience because you're a great client, right? And that's why no one knew. In terms of personal habits, standards, environment, health, fitness, I'm going to stick to the same shit. I feel like I really held a great routine in 2025. I really stuck to my non-negotiables, and I really knew what was important to me with training, steps, nutrition, all of the things. I think the only thing for me is, as I said, I don't want to feel guilty for putting my health first, because we want a health and fitness coach that's putting herself first and actually leading by example. We want someone who fills their own cup first and then can pour into us. We don't want someone who's feeling really negative in a rut. Like, that's not someone that I want to be mentored by. That's not someone I want to be coached by, and that's not someone I look up to. So becoming the healthiest version of myself, the strongest version of myself, really prioritizing energy over burnout and just listening to my body. There was some days here in 2025 where I was like, here and there is what I mean to say, like here and there, not like for weeks on end, where I just felt exhausted. I just felt like I couldn't even like get out of bed. I felt very burnt out. I still always made it happen. I still always showed up, but there was some struggles there. So I want to really listen to my body and not keep pushing. Know that I can have elements of growth without burnout and constant push. So I don't have any like weight loss specific goals or anything like that, like nothing number specific, just really leaning into feeling my best. In terms of relationships, really just wanting to have that higher standard. I want to have deeper connections with the girls that I love surrounding myself with, but I'm also going to have obviously those boundaries, obviously between like, that's not okay. Don't say that. That's not, you know what I mean? And I think there's times where I've been like not willing to call out, but call out is back in 2026. Call them out. If your friend is fucking lying and doing shady shit, call them out or stop being their friend, because we want support in this year. I want to feel like I have a girl group that I can talk to things like one-on-one or in a group. I can talk to you guys about things. I want to feel like I can have a friend miss with no judgment and opinions. And I just feel like it's so hard to make a group of friends. I have so many great individual friends, but it's so hard to come together as a group because so many girls are still stuck in that toxic bullshit of competition. I don't want to compete with you. I just want to have fun. You don't necessarily need to be in business, but I would love girls that understand business, because obviously, unfortunately, that's like 50% of my identity at this point. But deeper connections this year with your friends, with your partner, with your family, just really like spending intentional time. As I said, I want to still be able to maintain growth and connections and see how that kind of works together. In terms of like lifestyle, as I said, growth, meaningful, intentional, those are like, that's my 2026 aesthetic at this point. I really just want to make sure everything is really meaningful and intentional, making sure that I'm not just doing things. When I say making fast decisions, I'm not going to just do something because it's like a fast decision. That can be like a trap we fall into, right? We're like, oh my gosh, I got to do this. I got to make a decision quick. And then it's like shitty and not intentional and not put together. And even like 2025, the end of 2025, I did 24 days of Christmas opening my Nespresso advent calendar, and they kept putting so many of the same like range. So say like the signature range, the festive range, like together, it would be like festive 1, 2 and 4. Then the signature would be like 4, 5, 8. And I'm like, that's too close together. Like it feels like there's no intention and they didn't go into it with like any care. And I hate that, right? So for me, it's like making fast action, prioritizing growth, but having intention and being intentional with things and not just doing things because like I want things to really make sense. So back to like kind of like why this is so like not wishy-washy. I feel like I've told you a lot, but not told you a lot, because like I feel like sharing numbers and stuff. I just really want to protect the energy of like, yes, this is getting woo-woo, but I really strongly, truly believe in like all the universe things. Protecting the energy. People prey on your downfall. People want you to not win. Hate that. But unfortunately, like it's 2026 and that's human nature. But really protecting what's important to you, protecting the numbers. If you have a weight loss goal of 5 kilos, meaning you're going to go from 65 to 60 kilos, don't tell everyone. Just say, oh yeah, I want to lose weight. But don't tell them. But in your goals, in your book, you're going to be specific. You have done the SMART goals. You're going to say, I want to lose 5 kilos by, let's just say June. And I want to be this weight on the scales. How I'm going to get there? I'm going to invest in a coach. I'm going to follow a structured training program. I'm going to lean into one-on-one support. That all is in your journal for yourself to follow. Everyone else can just know you're losing weight, right? So we're not sharing the specifics. And you really want to be grounded in your goals before they're exposed. You want to know what your ticking off and what you're wanting. And even the other day I wrote my goals and then I moved on and did something else. And then I was like, wait, I also want this and I also want this. And it's okay to want to kind of refine your goals and add extra things as well. I think we're like made wrong for that, but it shouldn't be like, we shouldn't be made wrong for that. So going back into like, okay, I actually can refine, add, lessen, change, because the year's always going to change. Next, avoiding that validation seeking. So when you're not telling anyone what your goals are, we're actually really like avoiding getting anyone telling us good things. Like no one's going to say to us, oh my gosh, like that is so cool. Like you will look so good 5 kilos down. No one's going to, like, we don't have anyone saying that if we're keeping it to ourselves, right? So can we show ourselves that we can keep moving, keep working towards growth, keep doing the things we want to do without telling anyone? And stay focused doing it, right? Because when you're working on something on your own and you're head down, bum up, doing the thing and no one knows about it, how do you stay focused? How do you stay on track? Because no one's there to support you. No one's there talking to you about it and all of the things, right? So what do you do in that situation? Let your actions reveal the results. Talk less, take action, do more. Privacy is power and goal setting sacred, right? Like, but by the end of the year, when I show you all and stuff, like, you know, I've already going to be achieving those things, or things are going to move and change and whatever. So when I speak by the end of the year, it's not as sacred, but right now it's sacred. And like, there's power in being private and keeping to yourself and knowing what you want to like achieve. And like, you can say things here and there to your partner. Like I've told little things to my partner. But the real specific juicy stuff is only between me, myself, and I haven't told anyone else. I have not. I'm sure I'll tell Tate, but I haven't told anyone else. So pretty wild over here. I'm really excited for a crazy 2026. If you're listening to this episode and you haven't thought about a word that you want to take into this year, I know it's like mid-Jan right now, but if you're like, I don't know, I haven't figured out a word, there's no right or wrong. Last year it was risk taker for me. This year it was growth. So it's just like, even if you, I don't want to give you words, like really think about, I'm going to give you like a second to think about something in here that I've said that might have like sparked a word for you before I start going in, because if I start rattling off a bunch of words, you're going to then think that you thought of that word, and then you're going to think, Jess just fucked me up. So even if you take a breath, what's the first word that comes up for you? I would say things like intentional, boundaries, conversations, a year of conversations, a year of putting yourself first, development, personal development, happiness. Like there's no right or wrong, but just one word that really represents all of your goals and all of the areas. So when I say growth, I want growth in business. When I say growth, I want growth in finances. When I say growth, I want growth in relationships, in health and fitness, and experience and travel. Like it all goes hand in hand. So if you say intentional with your career/business, intentional with money, intentional with relationships, you know what I mean? Like make sure it ties all in with all of your goals and all of the pillars, but there's like no right or wrong with it, right? So no matter what word you use, even if it's like happiness, right? It would be happiness at work. Maybe that means, when we get specific, going and looking for a new job, applying for new jobs, looking for new roles, looking for new companies, right? So that's really getting specific. So the SMART goals is the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. When we talk realistic though, remember how I said at the start, I divide them. So I have a realistic and achievable one, but I also have one that's a little bit delulu and might not happen, but like, what if it did? What if it just like we went and made it happen today? You know what I mean? I know this was like a bit woo-woo and you guys have probably got whiplash right now. I just really have been leaning heavily into the universe things. Honestly, it rewards you. It rewards you when you lean in and you make scary moves. Trust me on that. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry for holding out on you. I feel like a shit cunt, but you know what? You're going to listen this whole year because you're a consistent queen, and you're going to find out at the end of the year what I actually have set and what I've achieved and what I haven't. I'm going to actually do that as I did for 2025. If you enjoyed this episode and you're enjoying the podcast, make sure to rate it 5 stars. Follow along so you get notified every single week. And if you're wanting to watch the episodes, the full videos, I upload them on Spotify and YouTube. So make sure to follow along, do all of the things, and I will see you next week. Mwah.